the round 3 team lists. We've got a little bit of news coming in sort of hours before around Duffy and different players like that. So I haven't looked at the team list yet. I'm keen to check it all out. And on our screen, we have Taumalolo, Spencer Leniu, who does return. Jai Gray is on the front, along with Josh Papali'i. So not sure if they're anything new, that's for sure. But let's get into it, of course. And if you prefer podcasts or just wanted to support me, I'd like to grow the podcast at the moment of this. It's the same audio, video, similar type of thing. So if you just want to listen to it, jump on the podcast, hit a 5-star as well. I'd absolutely appreciate that just to help that grow. A big thank you to everyone for being here for round 3 team lists. And it's time for the carnage to come. Melbourne Storm back in action. Their back 7 is exactly the same. And it's been a little bit of time since we've been able to check out all these types of guys since that round 1 clash against the Eels. And since then, we know the Eels are very, very poor. So there are players in this side that you might want to wait a week on. Pappenhausen, Howarth, Munster even, Jerome Hughes. They've all got through that bye. Harry Grant, you're holding on tight to. Eli Katoa, Stefano, do you hold on to them? I think most of these guys, if you own them, you're sitting and watching a week and see how that goes. Even with guys like Stefano, if you are waiting in the wings to purchase one of them, I think you keep that up as well. Nothing else is different with their interchange of reserves. I thought Nelson was going to get banned, but maybe not as such yet. Blaze Talangi on the other side is the 18th man. We see Thomas Jenkins in the 22. So far he hasn't been rushed into this side. For Casey McLean, there's a bit of chat that Casey might lose his spot, and he still might, and we'll wait until Thursday night for that one. Dane Laurie comes into the 1 jersey for Dylan Edwards, and I just read one of not the late mails, the early mail type of thing, and Dylan Edwards says 2 to 4 weeks. If it was 4 weeks out, then Dane Laurie is a really good purchase, in my opinion, and if it is 2 weeks, it's not going to be a good enough purchase, especially when he goes straight to the bench and very likely plays limited minutes. You can have some luck on his part and being able to play full games like he had in Vegas, but that's not going to happen, and you would have to sell him fairly quick. So that's where Laurie becomes a bit of a worry, but we'll go through his stats in the buy, hold, sell. Casey keeps his spot, so there's a bit of worry around him, so maybe don't go looking to purchase. Alamotti, I think, is a fun pick along with Isaac Tungo. Alamotti with a few of the issues next week with the wing fullback slot, with Knights players being out. He's one of those wing fullbacks on offer, and we'll mention a lot of the guys that are the options as well. Jack Cole keeps his spot, but Brad Snyder is the 14. Wonder how they're going to use Brad, or if they're going to wait for a type of injury. Their forwards are the same, and Isaiah Yeo is still in his spot. Thank goodness. There's no clear injury or anything like that. Bounce back season for Isaiah Yeo, I very much hope. Cleary, are you going to captain him this week, or are you going to go for a Payne Haas, Terrell May, any of those guys? That's all potential players. Are you game enough to get on Isaiah Yeo as captain after that 30? I know, personally, I won't be. But Jack Cole keeps his spot. I understand if you want to look to move him because he hasn't performed really well. He could also come out in this game and have a nice, solid effort. The Panthers haven't played particularly well, and neither has he. So maybe you can turn around. He's very, very cheap. So it's hard to see him as a clear sell at this stage, especially at his price point. No one else in their forwards are purchases right now. We do see Isaiah Papali'i back in the squad on the bench with Liam Henry, Luke Garner, and Brad Schneider. So still a really, really nice interchange section for the Penrith Panthers. Not too much to see here apart from Will Warbrick being out. I didn't actually realise that one. But Grant Anderson comes in, so Warbrick is not an option this week. What's happened with him? Warbrick is placed by Grant Anderson. What happened to Will? I feel like I did remember hearing something. Anyway, on to the Warriors. Chanel Harris-Tavita keeps his spot. The rest of the back 7 are all the same. Metcalf, how's he going to go this week against the Roosters and against Angus Crichton on that left-hand side? We still see Siwa Wong in the 12 jersey, so that's interesting, and he becomes a guy that should continue to score fairly well. You're looking at that interchange bench. Lindsay Collins actually moves to the bench instead of Nafahu White, with Spencer Leniu returning. Blake Steep, Feketi. I thought he was losing his spot. Maybe they're naming him, and if he gets charged, he'll be out. And Zach Docker-Clay keeping his spot. So with Radley at 13, I think this is going to be interesting. Does Wong play really big minutes, or does Radley play at 13 to begin? and then move to the edge, and then Watson can play some 13. That's going to be an interesting thought. With Zach Docker-Clay playing big minutes last week in the 46, 47 range, I don't know if he'll go that high again himself. If changes are made in-game, then I think he can play some more minutes. If Radley plays mostly at 13 and Wong plays mostly at 12, I think Docker-Clay probably gets in 20-odd minute type of range for that one. But that one caught my eye. Back over the Warriors, Fish Barnett are in their spot. Clark is starting there in the 13, and things stay exactly the same for them. There's no changes for that one, and then Victor Radley does come back into the side. With Spencer Leniu, so they should be pretty good. It's going to be hard to see them. I think it does really help that they have those two forwards back. Lindsay Collins is there. Like, coming off the bench, it's actually a much nicer forward pack now to have either a Leniu or Collins coming off the bench and Victor there to play really good minutes. Their outside backs are doing a good job. Teddy, Tupou, Nwangani, Tuaze, Toya, and Dom Young. It's a really close one, and you saw in my tips video that I did have the Roosters and I changed to Warriors. I may change that one back. I'm not sure at this point. But yeah, both teams fairly settled, especially now that Leniu and Radley are back. That's a big win for the Roosters after they got a big win last week. But two really good wins last week for both sides. How's that going to cross over and into this one? Leitoa as a wing fullback option along with Nwangani Tuaze. So have a look at those two if they have any interest to you. In this one, we don't see anyone else coming back from injury as yet, like DWZ. Billy Smith still in the 20. I don't think they can drop the two centers at this point. They've been going really, really well. All right, let's go straight to the Cowboys. Robert Darby, he's on the wing for Braden Burns. And he's a really cheap, fun option. The main problem is the fact that they play so many good teams over the next bunch of weeks. So how well is he actually going to go? The great news is he is a runner. So when they kick it down, although how many line breaks they're going to make and how many times is Darby going to have a kick return, that's going to be a problem. And he might have a bunch of missed tackles there on that on the right-hand side for him. But the left-hand side attack with Jesse Arthurs and Ben Hunt with Shibasaki, how are they going to go on that right-hand side, him and Vaialao? So Darby, welcome back to the squad for him for his second game. Would that be right? And then Jake Clifford, we lose Tom Duffy, so that's a loss for our squads for sure. He's made 40-odd K, 42K, which is not a bad start. We haven't had to trade him in, which is also good. The question's going to be this week: do we have him as a looper, an early looper at that, or do we use him as a trade option? That's something that I think you can decide yourself. There's no clear rush to try and trade him at this point. And wow, we see Jeremiah Nanai off the bench. Very interesting. McIntyre, Nanai, Griffin Neem, and Cohen Hess. Taumalolo goes back into the starting side. Welcome back to him. Kai O'Donnell keeps his spot in on the edge, and I don't think that Nanai will be coming on for O'Donnell. I also think there's a chance, well, maybe he doesn't, and maybe Bateman actually comes into the middle and takes a few of those minutes. It's definitely potential. Don't know if it's the move that they are going to make. And Clifford comes in, not an option, guys. It's just more of a worry for our boy Tom Duffy. And I think as a Cows fan, it's pretty tough to drop him in this one. But I understand that they were 50-50 and Clifford was coming back from surgery, and probably doesn't hurt to give it a try, especially against a really, really tough outfit in the Broncos. It's probably only going to demoralize him even more. And I think if Clifford plays well, then sweet, he deserves to keep the spot. If he doesn't play so well, I think that they could change back fairly quickly to Duffy. And it's like, well, yeah, you had your opportunity. Things didn't go so well, and maybe it was actually the forward pack the problem, not you. But we know Clifford has done it before, has had really good games. We haven't been able to see it yet. For Tom, I'm glad he's got his opportunity. The team is just really, really poor at the moment. On the Broncos side, guys that you could target, Reece Walsh could be targeted this week. I think he'll go pretty well and bounce back. Selwyn Cobbo with that wing fullback is interesting. Looks like at the moment he needs to score tries on the wing. We'll see how we go. Jesse Arthur's probably gone up a bit too high in fantasy, but is a terrific purchase in Supercoach, given he's averaging near 100. and no price rises as yet, whereas Arthur's has already gone up plenty, 60, 70k in fantasy. For their forwards, Payne Haas, just sad to see each and every week for me in this one. And are you going to be able to get him in your side? The question everyone's asking this week. I personally don't think you should trade Isaiah Yeo to him. I know people will. And if Yeo comes out and gets 50 in that, or 55 or even 60 in that first game, and Haas goes 80 again, they'll be vindicated by their decision, which is fair enough. Win's a win. You got to take him when you get him. Stagg is actually listed among the reserves. I didn't see that. So that's interesting to see. Which of the two does he come in for? I don't think it'll be this week. I think it'll be the following week that he does come in. But they're obviously giving him every chance to make it back in time, which is good for him. But Duffy in 19, that's sad to see. Sad to see. All right, Sharkies up against the Buns. And on the Bunny side, Hubner is out with the suspension. 2 weeks he's gone for. Keep him in your sides, in my opinion. Use him as a looper. It's a fairly, it's the 4th game of the week. So you've got a bunch of guys that you can loop in the first few with Sandon Smith, with Jack Cole as very simple options that we'd have on our bench right now. For their back 7, it's kept fairly similar with Jack Whiten returning into the centres, which is good. And Bailey Bentley Hape, he comes out along with Hubner as well. For their interchange, it's fairly similar with Liam LeBlanc in there. And actually, Michaela Ravalawa could easily come into this side for Fletcher Myers if they deem that he's going to be ready. He's just moved to the squad. I've seen a couple of training picks, which is good. And Tallis Duncan, what about the return from him? It turns out it was actually a minor hip injury in the end. So thinking it was hamstring, this is massive news for Bunnies and for Tallis, that he's not out, for 4 to 6 weeks, which usually seems to be the longer end for the upper, hamstring injuries. So good stuff for Tallis that he's back in that 13 role. Not a purchase, but if you do own, happy days. And I think it helps out the Bunnies, especially against a good team in the Sharkies. Hold on to Humphreys very clearly. He's not, in any danger of losing his spot right now. How much of a percentage is he going to go up again in round 3 as ownership? Pete Mavrozelis, feel very comfortable playing him again, even if against a tough outfit. I'm not expecting near 60. I'm expecting the high 30s again. Similar to round 1, but just that little bit better because he was actually running the footy that little bit more. And then Jairo, turns out it was, 2 Cat 2 HIAs, which keeps him out of the game that he's currently in further. But if he didn't have any actual concussion, Cat 1 symptoms, or they are deemed that he didn't actually have a clear concussion, then he's fine to go for next week. So that's the rule, so it's good to see. You don't see often that there's 2 HIAs in-game that aren't actually deemed after the fact to be a concussion. For the Sharkies, Will Kennedy. Anyone jumping on Will as a wing fullback option for next week? He's gone up in price too much. I think he's had try savers and turnover tackles in both games. So with either 2 tries or 2 try assists, I think. And he's still battling to get to 50. Oh, well, how good is he? Every second year, though, he does well. Stone Street continues to score tries. Kale Iro, if you want a gun centre that's actually playing centre, it's him. It's Herbie Farnworth at the moment that are at the top of my list for guys that are in that actual centre position. Ramian, a really solid one at the moment, but just an awkward price and doesn't have that real boom back-to-back potential that someone like Kale Iro, we've seen when he does score tries every second week, that he can score really, really well with those tackle breaks and everything else in between. Nico Hines, I think he'll play well again this week, and it's good to see him goal kicking and at least getting over 50% of the kick meters in general play. And week to week, this groin issue that he does have, he did have a minor groin strain, which is why he wasn't kicking, and he should get better and better each and every week, especially with the solid run that they do have, the Sharkies. Their forwards, pretty exciting to see all these guys again and the back of them after playing the Cowboys for sure. But Britton Nickera and Teague Wilden, both in with a shot of doing really well. And Adam Finnell-Blake had a quieter one last week. This will probably be the week that he goes over for another try. Seems to be close to every second week at the moment. Their interchange is sitting at the same. All right, moving on to the next one. We're getting to them fairly quickly today. Dolphins and the Tigers. Let's go to the Finn side. And their back 5, their back 7 are all the same, which is good for them. A little bit of continuity Oren Keeley currently keeping his spot with Tom Gilbert in the 13. So what we need here from a Gilbert perspective, considering that Kurt Donahue is mainly playing through the middle, is Finifuaki is actually in the reserves. So is Jack Bostock. So with Finn, I think we need him to get either back into the starting side or onto this bench, and then he and also Keeley can kind of split that time on the edge, and it hopefully leaves a few more minutes for Gilbert as he works into things, which is good. He needs to take his time getting into things, and 56 minutes in that first game when it was very, very close for them to only get 50 in this one. We need him back to mid-50s, and hopefully a 50 score would be delightful. Daniel Saifidi got good minutes last week, and it'll probably continue as long as he's fit and healthy. He copped some knocks last week and still played 55. Can Jeremy Marshall-King stay on the park continuously? That would be ideal for their side. He's a very, very important part of it. And yeah, that's about it for the Finns. Not too much else to say. Just, if Bostock and Finn end up back in the side, it's weird to see Kulikefu Finifuaki in the reserves after the head knock. I thought he'd go straight back into this side, and I think he played really well in round one. So if he does come onto the bench, as an owner, it'll be really frustrating. I do think he'll get back into that starting side. Keeley didn't perform incredibly well last week, so I do think Kulikefu is in with a shot to get his starting spot back, and maybe it's a 60 to 65 minute role early on. We'll have to see. But Oren Keeley was also working back from injury, and now he's got the spot. Does he keep it? That's also a question that we need to work out. Okay, Stafford Toa is named, so it does look like he just got taken off early, considering he's coming back from a calf niggle, and it was super hot, and he was looking a bit tired and a bit cooked. Dream Bull has been named at 1, which is good news for him. He was seen in a moon boot in photos, so good to see him back, and okay. Adam Dewey, centre spot. This is the week to buy him. Jarrell Skelton's another wing fullback that you could have a crack at. Tigers have, a couple of decent little fixtures coming up. I believe it's this Dolphins fixture into, what was it? Warriors, I think it might be, next week. So that'll be fun. No, are they Warriors? One of them. Someone that's like solid after last week. Round 1 they weren't looking too great, but round 2 was one of those. I can't remember. I did the video today. I should remember that. Anyway, Terrell May, terrific captaincy option this week. The interchange stays the same, which is good news for him and his minutes. And Seyfarth, I think it's good for him as well. They haven't got a edge on there, so hopefully 80 minutes. Hopefully not as hot of a day, which is going to be up near Brisbane, in Redcliffe, which would be good. Fun game. I think plenty will happen. Maybe it's a Terrell May try day off Happy Carousel. That could be fun. To be fair, a Seyfarth try would be fun as well. I'll be holding him, guys. Twal, an easy hold as well. Jack Bird, if you hold last week, you could hold again. He could easily be someone you could use as a trade as well. Galvin, really solid. Toa, solid purchase as well. We'll talk about him in the buy, hold, sell. Taruva, probably don't chase that score after a 3-try effort out there. Titans and Knights, 7:35 p.m. on Saturday. I think this is going to be a really, really close matchup. And we do see Tony Francis come in for AKP. Elifonte? Camprera. He did his calf at the back end of that game the other night. And Tony comes in, fast fella, that's for sure. And he should be able to do a good job in this side. Brimson with Campbell. The forwards look exactly the same with Fodawaker, Campbell, Gillard, Cleese, Haas, and Bo Fermor with Fafita on the bench. So no real changes on that, apart from Jamin Jolliffe moving out of the side as well. On the night side of things, we'll talk about both, and then we'll get into some of my thoughts on the game. Kai Pearce-Paul and Leo Thompson are out. So Kai has a 2-game suspension. Leo Thompson copped what looks to be a month-long injury, with Adam Elliott moving into the 13 role, as he was last year, with Tyson Frizzell on the other edge. On the right edge. Dylan Lucas on the other edge, which is good to see. Jacob Saifidi starting up front with Brodie Jones at this point, and Thomas Can't comes into the interchange there as well, which is great to see. I think he'll be a fun player for him. This should mean bigger minutes for guys like Elliott, but not a player to buy at this point. Can you buy any Knights? I've just been saying I think that Greg Marzu is the only guy you can buy in this back 7, but all of them should still score pretty well. Ponga, Gags will be solid, but Best and Marzio are flying at the moment with Fletcher Sharp. It's just really hard with their buy schedule to purchase any more than you may already have. You know, we had someone in the private crew was just asking, he had the trades up and he was getting Greg in, but that meant he had Greg, Ponga, and Lucas, and he's back 3, and he had no cover because I think he was trading Yongi. So just thinking of things like that are going to be really important this week because they're missing in the following week. Let's go to finish it off. So Titans, guys. Brimson, I think I personally wouldn't buy this week. He's an easy hold like I'll be doing. Keanu Kinney, I think, will have a much better game, and they should be able to have a bit of a bounce back. They can't really play worse in attack than I think they did in their first round last week, you know, coming up against a team that had a full game to prepare and iron out the kinks and everything like that. Titans haven't had that, and hopefully for them it was on the weekend. Tino looked great. Bofo Moore looked great. They're 2 guys that you can look at after scoring well. But can they keep that up? Jaden Campbell played pretty poor and got 46. That's great news. Brimson 32. Again, not getting much ball. Not the attack looking pretty poor. So if they can get things going, expect a lot of this back 7 to score some points and get better. Especially, you know, we've seen Keeney do it. We've seen Campbell. We've seen Brimson do it in their positions based off the stats. Tony Francis, you can have a look at it. I haven't seen what price he's currently at, to be honest, yet. We'll have a quick look while we're here anyway. With Mr. Francis, he will be at 250k. And has he played too much before? He's had 24 minutes on the wing last year in round 12 for a 14, and then 11 minute 8 last year as well. So he got the try, line break, 4 tackle breaks for his 14 with 2 tackle breaks, no tackles. He missed 4 tackles. That's scary. That is scary in itself. So there you go. That's Tony Francis. For now, probably not one you want to quickly have a look at, but Carter Gordon was the other guy that people might have been looking at. Not a guy you want to look at in fantasy, given he's priced at 350, and I think he's only half eligible. A couple games left. Eels up against the Doggies, and Yongi, Samrani still in their spots. A few people asked about Samrani. He scored really well. He looked, a bit like the way he ran looked a bit like Curaz, which is great. That type of runner is awesome. Good run meters, tackle breaker, that kind of stuff. So he's an interesting one to look at. I think center only, and a bit frustrating with that in a bad team. Yongi, some people will sell, and it feels like it won't be the perfect decision either way. It's one of those ones like Metcalf where you could have held, you could have sold, and overall it's not the worst decision either one. It's a bit of an in-betweener. I feel like that's what Yongi one is. It could work out, it could not, to sell or to hold. But yeah, tough team at the moment, and not one you want to focus on. Dean Hawkins comes in round 3. For those that did have Ronald Volkman in Supercoach, you were looking for a little price bump, and wasn't to be because Dean Hawkins comes in and ruins that. He's played some games last year. He's not in the game cheap, and not someone you want to target at this point. I think they've still got Brendan Hands with Riley Smith starting and then Riley on the bench. Does it continue happening the way it has the first 2 games? Yeah, I feel like it probably should. Unless they decide that Hands is the guy to have some more minutes. I just probably don't see it. That interchange, though, it's a bit inexperienced, let's say that. Duri, Katonga, and Tuavaiti as well, with Ryan Madison at 18th man. Josh Adokar still can't make it back into this side yet in the 21 with Josh Papali, in the 19 jersey. So yeah, they didn't make any changes at all, basically, apart from their halfback. So I don't know if that's the main reason they've been losing. But Hopgood's in there. I think you have to hold him. He should do pretty well. Doggies fans, you'll be fairly happy with this one, I think, with Satili Tupanua named on the left edge. Here we go. Is it Satili Tupanua time again? He's looking much better, and he actually scored, solidly enough in his minutes, but more, I suppose, like we thought he probably would. So he's an interesting one. I didn't think, I wasn't sure if that would come up or if someone would play there. Minutes on the bench, though, looks like that he's very, very likely to play pretty big minutes going forward. Jack Todd, he's getting closer, 20th man. They're back 7. We see Bailey Hayward go into the 6 jersey, which he has been in the 14. Whether they change that at all, and you do see like Kurt Mann go into that, or they bring one of the reserves in. I believe it's Joseph O'Neill who plays 6. He could come in for sure, but I think they're going to trust Bailey Hayward in this spot, so that's exciting for Bailey as well. He's someone that you can look at for a shorter term loan. But again, do you want to do that for someone like Hayward, for someone like Satili, to buy them for the short term? I'm not sure. Connor Tracy, another wing fullback option that you can look at for sure. Not super exciting now that he's gone up a decent amount of cash as well. Without Burton, how's their attack going to go? It is up against the Eels though, and he can probably have a pretty good game. That's for sure. So just keep that in mind with a bunch of these guys. It's up against the Eels this week. It could look really good. Tupanua could score really well. We're not sure at this point how that one's going to play out. It'll be next to Bailey Hayward. So does that improve things? Is it just a fresh combination that needs some time? These are all the questions that you need to kind of work out and do your checklist. Is it worth it bringing this player in? Okay. So yeah, Burton kick out, big outs. But wonder how much that helps the Eels. Let's go to Seagulls. Turbo and DC has been named. Apparently they'll be given as much time as they want up until kickoff on Sunday to prove their fitness. And the worry here is the fact that this is the last game of the round. Very, very tough. Very tough. Let's talk about Takiaho. He's back into this side, which is great news for him. And that knee problem that he had, the cork or the whack or whatever that he had there, that he suffered. Oh, I didn't even see it on the other side. Tamale has been named. Yes. I hadn't even looked at it yet. I was expecting him to, but that's great. Great news to see. Albert Hopewade in the 19 jersey. There you go. That's a win for the punters, that's for sure. We did think that it was going to happen in the preseason, so I'm glad that one has worked out. But yeah, the Eagles, that's a problem. More for the fact with Tommy that I own him in Supercoach, and I may have to pop him in the reserves and make that a last second decision with someone like Tamale in my Supercoach side. I think, yeah, he'd have to be my last choice. I'll work that one out. Olakuatu, expect a bit of a bounce back game for him. He hardly got the footy and they played pretty poor. It's going to depend on if Turbo and DCE are there. If not, who would we see? Jake Arthur come back in. Nathan Brown on the return, so that's good. So we'd see Nathan Brown. We'd probably see Tommy Talau come into the centres or the wing. Actually, the wing, with Lehigh Hopewadi going back to 1. So with them both being named, Turbo and DC, there's no one that could come in and really lock into that spot for any given important sort of amount of time. And yeah, so we'll leave it at that. But just be aware of that more for Supercoach. If you have Turbo 23 in fantasy, it's pretty rough. And I do understand if you wish to sell him, it does make some sense in a way. Let's look at the Raiders now. And I do have Tom Starling as a really good purchase. Had him as a good purchase last week as well. Continues to play really, really good footy. He gets some attacking stats. He tackles hard. He does miss a bunch, obviously. Yeah, we've seen that with him, but he can do great things as well. They're back 7 with Tamale. You see Xavier Savage come back into the side, which is great news. The rest of it sticks solid. Seb Chris scoring really well at the moment with the wing fullback tag. You can look at him, but we've seen him as a lower type scorer in recent history. Timoko playing great footy at the moment in the centres, and this is a really, really hot side right now. KO Weeks, not the fantasy guy we want. Sell for now. Bring him back at a later time if you potentially want him. Horsburgh, I think, is still a really good purchase. Matty Nicholson will get into the buy, hold, sell on him as well. He's been great, and he was great last week with the 82. And is he going to be a buy? Potentially. I'm looking at him myself. It's hard to ignore something like that. There's chat around Goz potentially missing the side this week for Piakura because Matty Nicholson went through him twice in defence. He's going to have Burbo on that side along with Luke Brooks. Is he going to be able to go through and score some tries as well? Are his base stats going to be enough? These are all question marks here. Hosking's out long enough, definitely, for him to be an option and for him to make some cash. How much is he going to make? How good is he going to go? These are all questions we need to work out over the next week or so. And I'll be here for the buy, hold, sell to sort that out and go through all that with Horsburgh, with Starling, with Nicholson, with Fogarty, with Tamale, with all of the options this week, guys. And we're going to leave the Team List Tuesday analysis here. Thanks so much, team, for coming along to this one. As I said, please feel free to jump on help me out with the podcast. I'm looking to continue to grow that one. It's doing well for me, and probably if you are a general video watcher, then that's awesome. If you find it just as easy to go on podcasts, then go check that out as well. And as I said, if you can leave a review, that would be awesome. Let me know in the comments if you've left a 5-star review. I'd be eternally grateful for that. So thanks so much, guys. Good luck with your teams, your comments, everything you need to do over the next day or so to get things right for Thursday, which is going to be a hectic clash between the Storm and the Panthers. See you guys.